Hi everybody, my name is Nick Muto. I'm a commercial fisherman from Chatham, Massachusetts. Probably the three biggest things affecting the Cape right now are the piping plovers, the seals, and the sharks. There's too many of them and they're doing far more damage than they're doing good. Success was never quantified when looking to protect these marine mammals. So they never said, well, if we're at 100 animals now, if we get to 10,000 animals, that's a success. They just protected all these species indefinitely forever. The species is doing very well, but they're having a real negative effect on a bunch of other things that are happening around them. The seals are here because they've got access to all these robust fishing grounds, and the sharks are here just to feed on the seals. So if we start dealing with the seal problem here, the sharks will naturally go away on their own. And I really believe that you'll start to see things, the inshore fish populations, really start to come back and thrive again. As far as wildlife management here on the Cape, I think there's certain areas where we're doing really well. I'd like to see people be able to go to the beaches more. I'd like to be able to see people go in the water more. But I'd like to see people gain more access to things that they used to have.
I am Andrea Bogomolni, and my friends call me Dre, which is usually what I love going by. My background is in wildlife biology and studio art. I think something that's so critically important is education and outreach, and how important that is for conservation work. It's not simply understanding the number of animals that might be in our system, but how we communicate what their value is to the rest of the ecosystem and to the rest of the world. So really integrating education and outreach into conservation is so critical. And part of that is understanding that just because animals are coming back doesn't mean that they're not in danger anymore, and that we have to stop understanding and listening and looking and learning about what they're doing.
Hi, I'm Jerry Evans, and I'm a craftsman here in Chatham. I've been windsurfing in Chatham and Cape Cod for 34 years. Humans are taking over the planet, and the human population is growing at such a rate that any conservation of wildlife is important. I think it's great having the wildlife here, and I think people should embrace it and educate themselves on it rather than just freak out when they see a coyote walking down the street. I'd love it if, things could sort of stay the same. I mean, I hate seeing this loss of habitat. I hope that we can see more wildlife on the Cape. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people on the Cape I've found. There's a lot of bird watchers. There's a lot of people move here, I think, for the wildlife that we actually have here.
I'm Megan Winton, and I am a research scientist at the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy, which is a nonprofit based out of Chatham. But to me, ocean conservation is really about people. Conservation is all about sustainable use of resources so that those resources are still available for the next generations, for the future. It's really important to remember that when we talk about ocean conservation off of Cape Cod, we're talking about a lot of different species that move around a lot. So it really is a much bigger regional issue. I think it's incredibly important that research on these species continues, as well as research on how to best manage species and their interactions, both with other species as well as with people.
My name is Suzy Blake, and I am one of the co-head lifeguards for the town of Wellfleet, Massachusetts. A healthy ecosystem to me means that we're all living synonymously and in harmony in the ocean, on the land, and we're doing our best to make sure we're protecting the wildlife that is there. But we also are concerned because we want to make sure that humans have a really safe interaction with the ocean and making sure that they can recreate and do the things that they love doing. We would like to see the ecosystem continue to be healthy. We would like to see all of these creatures, visiting us in the ocean, and make sure that everyone has enough food, including the humans. So I think we'd like to see it continue to be healthy. I think we'd also like to see continued improvements on the research, the education, and the safety tools that we have. I think there's a lot of good work being done in the technology that we can use to know when white sharks are in the area, know when we need to keep people out of the water, and I think that's just going to improve more and more.
My name is Brendan McCray. Was born and raised on Cape Cod, and I'm a surfer out of Orleans. There's a lot of fear around introducing kids to surfing now, for me. So it's heartbreaking to not be able to pass that on to our kids. I would just be too freaked out trying to watch a bunch of kids, floating around in heavily populated waters with white shark. I mean, it would be wonderful if we didn't have to worry about risking our lives to go surfing in the summertime. I'm hoping that maybe the researchers here will come up with some ideas that we can continue our lifestyles here on the Cape. Because there's a lot of businesses that are around surfing and water sports. And those businesses are suffering for sure because of the sharks. I have friends who have surf schools and surf shops, and they took a pretty big hit when it first when things really got hot.
I'm Wendy Northcross. I'm the CEO of the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. I work in a place of a lot of tension around the issue of some of our wildlife. People want to eliminate it or keep it away or separate it from human interaction. And I understand that. There's some safety issues there for sure, but I think that sometimes we overreact and say we have to get rid of pick a critter. We don't want the ospreys because they're so loud and noisy, and I don't want them living near me. Or, the sharks need to go. We need to kill all the sharks because it's hurting and destroying tourism. And then I hear from the other side of people saying, "Are you crazy? You can't get rid of your wildlife. We'll never come to Cape Cod again if you harm your wildlife, if you get rid of the coyotes." So it's a very interesting place. Like I said, it's a place of tension. You hear both sides of the issue, and you're trying to balance the pros and the cons of we live in a real world environment that we love, yet we're inviting people here to enjoy it that might not know that, and how do you balance all of that? So there's a lot of ways we can help our environment, and a lot of ways the environment is our economy, so it's all tied together. Everything's stitched together in the universe. We just have to find the best place that we can make a difference and help. And I hope in 20 years from now that a lot of us have signed on to help make a difference and keep Cape Cod the very special place that it is.